Friday to you from Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. I'm Jim Byers alongside Rodney Nelson. And it looks like for tonight, Rodney, the weather has passed us. It was a little threatening, a little damp earlier, but we're fast and firm. That's really nice for the 8-race card as we get set for a couple, 3 big weekends of racing. This time of year is big time for racing. And Kentucky Derby a week from tomorrow. We've got our Lone Star Bark Day the week after that on the 11th. But this weekend, camels, ostriches, and zebras on Saturday and Sunday appearing on track, and 8 races tonight. So a lot going on.
Right. It's great to kick off the week after some rain earlier in the area. Fast and firm. I like to hear that. It's going to be a fun night for these 8 races. We got some pretty good ones drawn up, and one that looks like it could have been a stakes race.
There's some really nice races. A couple of really nice races tonight. So we're here to analyze it and offer some selections. I'm going a little against the grain in race number 1. I looked at this race again, and I thought, I took Man in the Middle over Top Cop. You and Rick both like Top Cop, who just beat Man in the Middle by a length on April 6th. Makes a lot of sense. Top Cop should be favored. They haven't switched off the line yet. But non-winners of 2 claimers, a mile on the main track. This bunch could line up. I think Dave Appleton said this. They could line up 10 times. You might have 7 or 8 different winners. But Top Cop deserves to be the favorite, but I'm going to try with Man in the Middle, who took a long time to break his maiden. But then again, all of these have just the 1 career win.
Yeah, I ended up on Top Cop. That's the horse from the inside rail here. Last couple of races were both pretty decent for Top Cop. Both of them, the horse was routing in those races at Sam Houston, finishing 2nd and 3rd in both of those races. That was at a little bit higher claiming price than we're at today. Dropping $2,500 off that claiming tag, getting down here to the $5,000 level. I mean, we've seen this horse picked up a win last September at Remington Park to break the maiden. Since then, it's hit the board a few times, including a couple times this year. I think Top Cop could be a nice choice here in race number 1. I got the 3 Northwind as my second selection. This is a horse that seems to get out there and like to get on the lead or run close to it most of the way down the track. Now, Northwind was in a race with Top Cop last time out. Finished 5th in that one, but you see in your past performances there, I got a little dark arrow indicating trouble. You see that one in the last race. 2 races ago, the same thing. Another one of those trouble comments. We'll see what Northwind can do. I think if this horse can avoid some of that trouble, maybe we'll see a better finish. But if you look back through those past performances, see a lot of those trouble arrows. It seems like trouble is attracted to Northwind or he's attracted to trouble, one of the two. But I got the horse picked 2nd. And then I went with number 6, Sendoff, as my 3rd choice. Horses coming in here fresh off a win. I love horses that win and come in here off one. Now, that was the maiden-breaking win. We got Christopher Elliott aboard. He picked up his first career win last weekend. He got the traditional jockey thanks out down here in the paddock on the way back to the room. But, he's shown that he can win out here. He's a young guy. Last time out, this horse was a winner. It's going to be a tough task, but that race was at a mile last time. Going back a mile today, but does have to face winners for the first time. We'll see what happens with Sendoff, but I got it 136 in the opener.
Did his dad help? Did he throw him in the fountain back
I didn't see Stewart out here, but I'm sure he was congratulating
it.
With that. I mean, he must be a favorite in the room because I think all the jockeys were out here
were they?
With buckets of water,
baby
powder, and so he was pretty happy about that, and seemed like they were all celebrating that
That's
win
good.
after.
It's a really nice ride, too. Well, your 4th pick is my top pick. I'm going with Man in the Middle, strictly because, now, I know he went 0 for 19 before he won a race, and he did break his maiden with a nice Beyer fig on the turf, a Beyer fig that, were it to transfer to the main track, would beat any of these on tonight's racing, probably, but it was on the turf. Followed that up in a tough allowance race at Sam Houston on the grass. Ran last in that one. Still earned a Beyer fig that would put him in this race just because it was a nice level race. Last time out, I thought maybe he moved a little prematurely. He made the lead coming to the quarter pole. Established the lead. Levy, who has come back subsequently and won here at Lone Star, won that race off by himself. Top Cop was a good second in that race. I just thought visually, Man in the Middle looked to me like he had a little bit more energy, even though he did finish a length behind the other. He chased the pace a little bit. So I'm going to go with him on top. One thing that scares me about the first race is Little Frappuccino, who's kind of a speed type. I mean, there are double-digit margins behind the winner every race lately, but he's an Asmussen. And 2 races ago and 3 races ago, he was running at Oaklawn, and those type of horses can turn it around when they get here. But, boy, he stunk it up at Houston for $25,000 down too. But a little Frappuccino, neither of us used him, and that worries me a little because, with Steve, it's just hard to completely throw them out,
right,
especially in a race at that level, Second race, Texas bred, non-winners of 3, $7,500. The claiming tag, and they'll go 5.5 furlongs.
All right, so I'm on a little bit of a shot here. 6-1 on the morning line on number 7, My Favorite Song. Going to be my top choice here. Last time out, this horse was in for $20,000. Got up there on the lead early. That was in a sprint race at 6 furlongs. Let it, a lot of the way around the racetrack. Ended up fading at the end, running 7th in that one in a field of 8. So not very good in that race. But if you can draw a line through that one, focus on the 2 before that. Horse was in for the $10,000 tag against State Breds, just like here today against State Breds, but dropping it a little bit. Those 2 races at Sam Houston were pretty good for My Favorite Song. At 5.5 furlongs, this horse was the winner of that race. Guess what? We're running 5.5 furlongs right here tonight. See if this horse can't put together another win at the distance. That race 2 starts back also at the $10,000 tag. Ran 3rd in that one behind the next out winner who ran 2nd. I think there's a lot to like about My Favorite Song here. If you're looking for one to play at a little bit of a price, that number 7, you might get some decent odds on the horse here today. Number 4, Picking Up Strangers is going to be my second choice. A solid second last time out. That was at 6 furlongs at Sam Houston. Was in a stakes race before that, routed at a mile, finishing 5 of 5 in that one. But, hey, if you look at the races before that race after that, I think this is getting back to where this horse needs to be in here for $7,500. See if this horse can't have a very nice run today for J.R. Caldwell. And then number 1, Doc's Bolero is going to be my third choice here. It's another one that's coming off some decent races. A 3rd last time out, a win before that, a 3rd before that. So out of the 5 races that this horse has run in 2024, it's hit the board in 4 of those 5 races, including that win, which was 2 starts back. We'll see what happens with Doc's Bolero. 2-1 on the morning line for this one, ridden by Stuart Elliott.
It's interesting that Doc's Bolero, Picking Up Strangers, and My Favorite Song all come out of that April 7th race at Houston that was won by a Steve Asmussen-trained filly, More Peanuts, who dropped in from Allowance Company and won that race and won it quite stylishly. I went with Picking Up Strangers here. Not a very imaginative pick. Ran a pretty good second, as you mentioned, at 9-1. Was barely ahead of Doc's Bolero at the end, but is very consistent. And like you said, if you can eliminate, and it's easy to eliminate that Star of Texas. I mean, Mr. Moneybags has been one of the
right,
top Texas breds of recent years. This has been a really good claim for J.R. Caldwell. Claimed this horse for $10,000 January 12th and has earned the bulk of his $37,000 this year for Caldwell. So that was a really nice purchase. I'm gonna give him the look here, just on a consistency factor. There's a filly in here that Rick Lee has as his long shot, Sing It Bessie, that Rick has as his long shot play of the day. Takes on boys today for the first time. Had an outside post last time and ran 10th out of 12, but could run better against this bunch. I mean, this group of males is not necessarily all that fearsome.
Right?
Yeah. On to race 3. These are all older fillies and mares. Race written for fillies and mares 3 and up. It drew exclusively older ones. Scratch the 2, Leopard Bait. 1 mile on the main track. $7,500 non-winners of 2.
Yeah, so I ended up on number 6, Catherine Blaze, here in this spot. Last time out was in for the $15,000 tag, and I cut that in half to $7,500 tonight. In that race last time, Catherine Blaze ran a good 3rd in that one, just missing by 2 lengths. So it wasn't a bad race there. If you look at how this horse has done, you got to look back to the fairgrounds. The horse had a solid 2nd at the fairgrounds, missing just by a nose earlier this year. Was running in some bigger races as well. We saw this horse at Keeneland, Churchill Downs, Kentucky Downs even. So the horse has been running at some bigger racetracks. Came to Sam Houston last time, like I said, ran 3rd in that race. Not bad. We'll see what this horse does in her first start here at Lone Star Park tonight, but I think that Catherine Blaze might be one to watch. I got the number 4, Mischief Angel, as my second choice here. last time out, this horse was in for $15,000 as well. Round fourth in that one. That was right behind Catherine Blaze, my top choice. So I think coming out of that race, these two horses, I like that race. Watch it. I think that they can both run big tonight. And then number one, Miss Carmen Sebo is going to be my third choice. It's a horse that comes out of the gate, shows a lot of speed in those races, no doubt about it. Now, the horse has got a string of turf races in a row dating back to Canterbury last year. Had one at Sam Houston earlier this year. Most recent start was a dirt start on a muddy track. That was the one at Sam Houston. Went a mile all the way around. Came close to winning it. Came close to winning that race. Led it for most of the way around the racetrack. Ended up third in that one. But we'll see what happens with the one. I got it 6-4-1 in the third.
Yeah, I went ahead and took the one, 6-1 on the line. With an 8-1 out, that might ripple the odds a little bit. It reduces it to a 7-horse field. It's not going to have a monstrous effect on the morning line, but it might alter it a little. But I took this filly strictly because I don't know if there's anybody else in here that can go with her. She typically seems to have a little bit of an issue getting that last furlong or 16th of a mile. She generally is in front coming to the furlong pole. But I think maybe she might be able to outrun this bunch today. Might get a little brave on the front end. I'm going to fish for a little bit of a price in what is a pretty wide open race and take it 1-4-6. Mischief Angel definitely has the ability to chase and finish. She doesn't finish hard every time, but she definitely has a nice kind of chasing style. And then Catherine Blaze, a Steve Asmussen $5,000 claim at Fairgrounds. So the Asmussen stable found a $5,000 filly that they liked at the Fairgrounds and took her. She does have some nice races mixed in here at, like you said, nice tracks. So you break your maiden at Churchill even for $16,000. That's not bad.
Yeah,
that's worth a look.
Right?
Yeah, and she has several races with a former trainer, this George Leonard, where she was hopelessly overmatched, but fits much better here. Race 4. There's not much early speed in this race, unlike that previous one with Miss Carmen Sebo. The 4, it's my money 2, and the 7, Shulshock, exit the same race on March 24th. And I kind of think those two are sort of the key to the race, but you're mixing that up here with Sharp Likeness. Right. This is 7/8 of a mile. Starts the pick 5. There's a little one-day carryover of $245 in that. Filly, non-winners of 3 claimers.
Yeah, so like you said, I went with number 2, Sharp Likeness. Now, this horse has been running in sprint races. Going to stretch out a little bit here to 7 furlongs, but what I like about that is it's still around one turn here at Lone Star Park. So, the horse is going to have that long straightaway to run down. We've seen Sharp Likeness. If you look through the PPs there, you'll see that this horse can close and can close very well. 2 starts back, look at that. The horse was in 6th early on, ended up winning that race by 10 lengths in that one. That came at 6.5 furlongs, so not much more this horse is going to have to run tonight. Was in for $10,000 that day, in for $7,000 today, in for a new barn with a new trainer. Let's see what happens with Sharp Likeness. I think some of those changes and seeing that horse, how this horse likes to come from behind and that 1-2 back, 10 lengths. I always like seeing horses win by a large margin. That's going to be my pick here in race number 4. Got the 4, it's my money 2 as my second choice. It's the horse that has consistently run second out of the 5 starts so far this calendar year, has finished second in all 5 of those races, so why not pick the horse second once again? I think this horse does have some good ability, being up there to at least hang in there for a check in those last 5 races. And then I got number 7, Shellshock, as my third choice here in race number 4.
Yeah, Shellshock, 7-year-old mare for Steve Asmussen, at least for Steve now. He claimed her in August of last year. Hasn't been able to get a win out of her. She's only 2 for 33 lifetime, so the wins are spaced apart, let's put it that way. Her last win was right around Thanksgiving of 2022 at Churchill Downs. Since then has not won. She used to keep really good company, that $30,000 starter company at Oaklawn and Kentucky, hard-knocking mares, but her last race, she was 2-1 favorite on that race where she faced It's My Money 2. Couldn't quite outrun her. They were only a head separated at the finish. I think the turn back to a sprint might help her. That seems to be her better lick. Hasn't run here before. In a race where, none of them have more than 2 wins, I'm going to take her. I like how she's drawn. It's My Money, too, an absolute picture of consistency. I've got 12 races on my PP, she's been second, third, or fourth in all of them. So one that has made HDT Allied Management some money, at least in dribs and drabs. And then Super Sense coming in from Sunland, Dick Capalucci, the trainer. You got to watch those Capaluccis coming in from the Southwest. They can go fast down there, and this filly has favored 2 of her last 3. It's been okay. So I liked her slightly more than your Sharp Likeness, who got claimed away from Calhoun last time. Race 5. Start of the pick 4 today with the 8-race card. 1 mile on the turf, and we are on the turf. I know a lot of areas got rained on today, but we didn't take so much rain that it knocked us off the turf. Scratch the 5, Paintbrush, the 6, She's a Ghost, and the 11, Carpe Horseshoe, all out of this race. $15,000 filly claimers.
All right, I'm on number 7. That is Super Cindy. So, this horse, last 4 races have all been on the turf. That's the 4 turf races for this horse in her career. Picked up a couple wins out of those turf races. So, out of those 4 starts on the grass, has won 2 races, has a 3rd to boot as well. So, it's hit the board in 3 out of 4. Last time out, this horse was in a starter optional claiming race under the starter tag. Finished 4th in that one. Wasn't beaten too bad, only beaten by 3 lengths. The 3 horses that finished in front of Super Cindy, we got a winner that finished 3rd. Quinella was in here. Quinella's my second choice here. And then Paintbrush, who scratched in this race, was what? 2-1
was the morning line favorite. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said coming out of that race. Rick must have liked that race and how he assigned these morning line, thinking they're going to take the wagering money. But Super Cindy, those 4 turf races in a row, I think staying on the turf, going around 2 turns once again, in for a claiming tag tonight. Like I said, she won at $25,000, right? So let's see if Super Cindy's got it tonight. I think this horse can get out and have a decent run. Number 2, Quinella is my second choice. 2 consecutive second-place finishes for Quinella, both of them on the grass. And then I went with number 1, Ruby the Destroyer, as my third choice. I wanted to pick this horse up a little bit higher. I mean, this horse is coming out of a couple allowance races. Last time out, finished 8 of 8 in that one. Let's draw a line through that race, focus on the one before. Was a 3rd-place finish. Was also in another turf race at Sam Houston before that, the first one of the calendar year, finishing 2nd, missing by a neck in that one. Big odds, 12-1 on Ruby the Destroyer. I know there's 3 scratches out of this race, so those odds are bound to change a little bit. But if you're looking for one to play at some decent odds, maybe take number 1, Ruby the Destroyer. But I think Super Cindy can get the job done here in the 5th.
These races are wide open when, we're picking horses on top that the other guy isn't even using.
Right.
And that's the case here. It was the case, I think, one time earlier. I think Ruby the Destroyer, who's an Oklahoma bred, has a shot very much so in this race as well in her Lone Star debut. Quinella is one of those that just always seems to give a good account of herself. I know Broberg had her for a while. She's run well on this turf course, but I went with a newcomer, a mare we have not seen here before, Alliatius. I assume that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to have to check my man Don Stevens' pronunciation from his when he's called her. But Lone Star debut, this is a Louisiana bred. She loves the turf. She's been very popular at the claiming box last summer and this winter. And, the record is kind of similar to the rest of this bunch. But, last summer she was really good on the turf. And since then, she's mainly campaigned at Delta where there's no turf course. I think getting back to the grass will help her. And we'll see how she likes this turf. But I'm going to give her a shot for George Bryant. What a shame that we lost George Bryant, the son, in the right before the meet. I was really sorry to see that. He used to train this. George A. Bryant used to train this mare. On we go to race 6. These are all 3-year-olds, maiden special weights, 5.5 furlongs. And like we mentioned, this is for straight 3-year-olds, and this race does not have any changes.
Here's another one that we don't have the same top pick or not even close. Like I got the 8 here. Carry the Flag coming from the outside here in this maiden race. I think this is a time where he can break his maiden. Last 2 races both came at Sam Houston Race Park. Ran 2nd in both of those races. The one 2 starts back only missed by 2 lengths. Last time out, missed that one by a length. Now, that last race was on the turf, so going back to a dirt track tonight, I like the surface switch. I always like surface switches. If you're not
you
winning,
like changes in
I
general.
love changes, right? Especially in
like
maiden
mixing
races,
it up.
right? If you got a maiden race, they've run a bunch before, and they're not something's not working, let's change it up. Throw some curveballs at them, see if Carry the Flag can't get it done. But the horse has improved pretty much in every race. I mean, the very first one that this horse ran in, I mean, you couldn't do anything but improve from that race. It went from getting beat by, 38 and a half, 38 and 3/4 to 14 and a quarter there. I mean, it's a big improvement in the margin of defeat there.
I have a feeling at the fair, even though it doesn't say it, I'm pretty sure at the fairgrounds that they eased the filly, or they eased the colt late in that race. The second race, they probably kept trying till the end, so they cut half that margin off.
But then moving here to the Lone Star Stakes, 2 races at Sam Houston. I mean, right up there, hit the board on both of them, finishing second. We'll see if this horse can't have a good run here at Lone Star Park tonight. 7-2 morning line on Carry the Flag. I'll take that one on top of the 6th. Got the inside horse, Mr. Shorty, as my second choice. You got to love those horses that Carl Broberg sends out. This one right here, beaten by double digits last time, beaten by 23 lengths at Delta Downs. But before that, I mean, this horse is running some maiden special weights in Louisiana and having some respectable finishes. 3/3, a 4th in those races. So the horse was up there moving. Shows a lot of speed early on as well. So this horse, I'm guessing, is going to try to get out there and lead it all the way around the racetrack. And then number 5, Too Little Too Late, is going to be my third choice. Another one that was beaten by double digits last time out. But, you know, we'll see what happens with this one. That one was off the turf. They wanted to run this horse on the turf. Was off last time. But if you take a look at the debut for Too Little Too Late back at Remington Park in December, that was a solid debut there, running second by a neck. Now, that's 6 months ago. We'll see what happens tonight with Too Little Too Late from that good run then. Hasn't had much to show for it since, but has been up there toward the front in a couple races, running early on. We'll see if that speed doesn't work out tonight for It's Too Little Too Late. I got an 8, 1, and 5.
I do like the turn back angle from a 2-turn race back to a sprint for Too Little Too Late. Showed speed routing. As far as Mr. Shorty goes, I will point out, because it's in the form, it's not generally in the Equibase PPs, that this is the first time that Broberg has sent this horse out. A trainer named Henry Johnson Jr. had him in Louisiana. But Broberg's barn, I'm guessing, did put a fast work into this horse on April 13th, 1 minute and 4/5, fastest of 11 that day at that distance. I went with the morning line favorite, Fireball Birdie. This was a $300,000 Keeneland September yearling purchase back in 22. An Uncle Mo colt from a mare, Song of the Lark, who I don't think was very distinguished, but Song of the Lark's mother was a great one. Wilderness Song made $1.5 million, was champion older mare in Canada, multiple graded stakes winner. So Fireball Birdie comes from a female line that includes Wilderness Song. That's pretty darn good. The maiden try for this horse was at Oaklawn. They had shipped this horse from Steve's Houston base to Hot Springs, put 3 works in her. The last one of those was a bullet, just 4 workers that day. I'm sorry, the April 16th work was since the maiden debut. But they put a couple of works in before her debut, and his debut, and it was just a fiasco. Wasn't in it at all, really, except in the very beginning. Seemed to break well, but just backed right out. Second time, eligible to improve. Got caught in a fast-paced race at a really salty bunch of maidens, and couldn't compete. But I think we'll compete better here. We'll see if the second time out is the charm. They spent a lot of money on this colt, and it's interesting that they chose not to take him to Kentucky or try him again in Hot Springs, but see if they could break his maiden here. It's going to be hard to make that $300K back if you're not running at Churchill or Keeneland.
Generally, I like second-time starters. I don't know, something about Fireball Birdie.
Well, he didn't show anything in his first start.
I didn't care for that last race.
He was bet down to about 5-1. It was probably a wide-open race.
He's going to come out here and romp today.
Well, I mean, we've seen it before, but,
yes.
We'll see. Race 7. 3/4 of a mile, optional $40,000 claimer. None of them are in for the tag. This is a really, really good field. One in particular, I mean, to me, just jumps off the page, but you didn't take her, so that's interesting. These are all olders. They're non-winners of 2 races other than since October 26th. Scratch the 2 Bellajou, who takes a tremendous amount of speed out of the race. Her time form pace figure was off the charts. So that takes a lot of speed out of the race, but it's still a really good sprint. And I see you like a turn back Perfect Wish. Only thing that worried me about her was I think she can sprint. She just doesn't do it very often.
Yeah.
She's back in it today.
You're right. She doesn't do it very often. She's only run 3 times at this 6 furlong distance. If you look at the last, 6 races or so, all of them around 2 turns. All of those in stakes races as well. So, the horse has been up there running with some good horses. 2 starts back, this horse was in for $300,000. We saw this horse in the Remington Park Oaks back in September at Remington. This horse does show some speed. She can get out there and she can run quickly. She's put together a stakes win at Prairie Meadows. Did that by a nice margin last year. Jade Gelner, the horses that he sends out, when I pick against him, he beats me every time, it seems like. He hits at a high percentage, and not just with, low-level claiming horses, but with really good stakes horses. Last year I want to say the Texas Thoroughbred Futurity or Stars of Texas, I think he won a couple races with the 2-year-olds, and then took it to Louisiana, I want to say, and they think they ran well there. But give me Perfect Wish here. 8-1 on the morning line for this horse. I think there's a lot to like about it. Coming out of those stakes races, some of them big. A horse is shows some speed, cuts back into sprint today. I love that angle from all those route races back into a sprint here. Stuart Elliott gets aboard. I think there's a lot to like about Perfect Wish here. Number 6, Adeline Julia. This is your top choice.
Yeah.
This is another horse that it's tough to pick against this horse. Last 3 races up in Hot Springs, all of those $150,000 stakes races, ran 5th in all 3 of those. But picked up a win at a $100,000 race before that over in Louisiana. Is back on the Lasix today, being here in Texas. So we'll see what happens with the 6. And then I got number 7. She's Sky's the Limit. This horse right here, a 2nd last time out, picked up a win before that, a 3rd, a win, a 2nd. This horse has been hitting the board dating back to the fall of last year over 2 different tracks. Has had some success out here at Lone Star Park as well, 7 career races on our track. Has a win, a couple seconds, and a 3rd to show for it. I think this race number 7 is going to be a fun one to watch, but give me number 1, Perfect Wish, at some decent odds here in race 7.
Yeah, there's a lot of contention in here, but I think if Adeline Julia runs her race, and you hit on something I think is important. Granted, these were stakes at Oaklawn, but the last time she won, she was on Lasix. That could be important. Also, getting away from Oaklawn might be important for her as well, even though she has won on that surface in the past. I just think she's a little different type of mare. I think if she's on her game, she's too much for this group, but this is a really good group, so if she's not on her game, look out. But, last year she ran against some really good mares like Gunning and Ugiri and horses like that. This year she hasn't been quite as solid, but and has been disqualified a couple of times. But super mare, what a great claim, too. Claimed for $75,000 in October of 22 by the Diodoro stable, and last year made $300,945.
Pretty good return, right?
Yeah, all for Jerry Karoom, the owner, and Diodoro. So I'm taking her appropriated funds as a really good style for this. And Jalen Clary does an excellent job, much like Jade Gelner. They're kind of the new wave of trainers coming up for the future. Both win a bunch of races. And Appropriated Funds has had a little bit of a layoff and is another one that's dabbled in graded stakes company like Perfect Wish has. And I'm going to take her 2nd. And then She Sky's the Limit. Likes it on the main track, but typically has been a turf filly. But she can run on anything. She wins on slop. She wins on turf, sprinting, whatever. So that's a really good race. And on to the 8th and final. A mile on the grass, a first-level allowance, 3-year-olds and up, $2,974, the carryover in the Super High 5.
Yeah, I'm on number 3, Mooncats.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Scratch the also eligible and the main track only. Sorry, 13 Glendale, 14 Cousin Larry. Okay, sorry about that.
So, yeah, Mooncat, number 3, that's going to be my choice here. This horse was a winner 2 starts back. That was in the non-winners of 3 claiming race at the $25,000 tag. Also on the turf. Last time out, this horse running a one other than allowance race. Finished good in that one. Ran 2nd, missing by 3 lengths. settled in, had a nice looking race there. I think that the experience on the turf for Mooncat, 14 different races on the grass, 3 of those being wins, a second and a third as well. I think that's going to set up well for Mooncat. It's going to be the first time on our turf course out here, so we'll see what happens when it's all said and done. I got number 10, Solid Country Gold, as my second choice here. Last time out, this horse finished 9th. Was a second-place finisher before that, just missed by half a length, came in a good come-from-behind run there. Those races at the fairgrounds are the ones I was talking to. Pretty big allowance races there. We'll see what happens here when this horse gets a Lone Star for the first time, but does have a win at the distance. Also trained by Jade Gelner. I said, if I don't pick the horses, they're going to beat me. So I got to have this horse in my top 3. And then number 1, Varsity, is another horse that I really liked here. 10-1 morning line on Varsity. Last 2 races for the horse, both of them on the turf, and guess what? Both of those were wins as well, right? The 2-back was off the turf, but both of those wins, the last one was on the turf. Both of those going over a mile. Brett Calhoun is the trainer of this one. For those of y'all who have paid attention to Lone Star Park for the last 10, 15 years, you know that Brett always sends out some quality horses and hits at a fairly decent percentage. I think number 1, Varsity, might be one to watch if you're looking for a long shot in the last race. Like I said, 10-1 morning line on this one in a large field. I think this last race is going to be a fun one to end the night on, but I got it 3, 10, and 1 here in the final.
Yeah, I think the trip is going to be interesting here. I give a horse like Wilton a little bit of a chance, but drew the 12-hole. My top pick, Solid Country Gold, has the 10-hole, but lacks any kind of speed to speak of, or at least drops it back. So I'm hoping Stuart Elliott, and I know that he will probably find a way to tuck in, or at least drop in as much as he can. And Stewart's very good at finding room. Mooncat is another one that, lacks speed, is going to come from behind. It's interesting that the dam of Mooncat, Fantacola, made $561,000. Was a graded stakes winner out in Southern California. That was pretty good. She was a really good mare. So it makes sense that Mooncat would like the turf course as well. I'm just a little worried Mooncat might not get a very good trip. I just have a feeling he's going to be way out there, wide, coming for home. But, he can win doing that. 2 races ago he won going 5 wide. But I took Solid Country Gold in by a whisker over Mooncat. And Storm Man is intriguing to me. Kerry Craddock, this horse could be the lone speed. Stretches out off a debut maiden win on the lawn at Houston. Beat a next out winner, went wire to wire. I don't think there's a lot of speed in here. So, I wouldn't put it past Leandro Goncalves to just try to take them gate to wire here in the last. All right. We don't agree on a single top pick today. Those are really interesting days because it's odd that you go a whole card, even 8 races, where we don't have some top pick in common. I think I only agree with Rick on half of the 8 picks. So
that's the beauty about this sport. You pick one right,
exactly.
Everyone else picks them wrong, you win a lot of money. So
you could be on the good end of that, or somebody's going to have bragging rights. Let's put it that way. But, yeah, that's what indicates good racing. All right, thanks a lot for looking in. First post time, 6:35. Once again, we're fast and firm. Please wager early. We got 30 minutes to post for the first, and good luck tonight.